To Debbie Lash Yoga, and welcome back if you've been practicing with me already. Today we're going to focus on upper body, tight shoulders and neck, and just places where we hold a lot of tension. We're going to need a strap, or you can use a hand towel, kitchen towel, a scarf, a belt, whatever you've got in your home. And if you've got a block, you can use a block. Otherwise a pillow or a blanket. Okay, so just make sure you've got your belt ready because we're going to start with some shoulder flossing. And this can feel pretty intense in some people's bodies, so just do what you can and just keep your movements linking with your breath. Okay, so we're going to hold our strap shoulder distance apart, and don't be squeezing it so tight, just a nice light gentle grip, and on your inhale we're just going to lift it all the way up, so arms overhead, and then we're just going to start to separate the hands, and so you can gently exhale, take the strap down. Just notice where you get stuck. You might not be able to bring the strap all the way down, and that's okay. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Good, and then we're going to reset the hands again. Inhale, lifting all the way up, pause and hold. Separate the hands as much as you need to exhale, lower. Good, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Reset the hands. Two more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Good, reset. And on this last one, we're just going to pause and hold it. So you're going to find your juicy spot. Inhale, lift up. Pause here, draw the ribs in. And then I'm just going to pause right about here. Just stay here. 5 cycles of breath. And this is feeling very juicy. I'm getting a lot of bang for my buck right here. You might even want to close the eyes, just investigate the jaw, maybe give it a little wriggle. Notice what's happening in your feet if you're sitting on your knees like I am, which I hope that you are too. Your toes are pressing down into the mat, and release all the way down. Good, inhale, lifting all the way up. And exhale, lower. Good, just place your strap to the side. We might need that later in the practice. And again, come and sit on the knees. Inhale, both arms wide. Going to cross the right arm over the left. Some of you are going to just reach opposite hand to opposite and squeeze, giving yourself a nice hug. Others are going to find Garudasana, squeezing the forearms together. And inhale, float the elbows up. Exhale, hands away from the face. Some of you are going to stay upright. Some of you are going to inhale here. And then exhale, forward fold and bow. Just stay right here. And the more you squeeze your forearms together, you'll feel that lovely spreading of the shoulder blades. It feels like you're pulling your shoulder blades apart. Head is nice and relaxed. Feet and shins are actively pressing into the mat. And inhale, lifting all the way up. Exhale, release. Other side, left arm over right. Inhale, float the elbows up. Exhale, hands away from the face. Some of you are staying right here. You're just going to shift that shoulders over your hips. Inhale, some of you are going to forward fold and bow. Exhale here. How's the breath feeling in the body? And just notice where it might feel sticky or stuck. And focus the exhale into that area. And one more cycle of breath. And inhale, lifting all the way up. Release. Inhale, float your right arm up. And you're going to spin the palm to the back wall or behind you. And then bend the elbow. And we're working the forearm So it comes into the back of your head. And stay right there. It's like you're patting yourself on the back for showing up today. That's it. And then notice how the front body wants to pop out. We want to draw the ribs softly in. Press down through the toes. Take a few cycles of breath here. We're going to investigate this arm bind a little later by rotating and then coming into that Gomgasana in the arms. One more cycle of breath wherever you are. And exhale, release. Other side, left arm up. Exhale, bend. Walk that forearm into the back of the head and you just gently bow the chin to the chest. And when you feel ready, just start to lift the chin up. And you'll feel that just lifting and rolling that shoulder back. Keep pressing between the forearm and the back of your head. That's it. 2 more cycles of breath. And when you're ready, release. Shake it out. Come onto your hands and knees, tabletop position. Let's start by stretching our wrists. Just turn the wrists back in towards the knees, and you might just want to pedal this through a few times. And again, if it feels too intense in your body, you can just totally miss it out. And just carry on. Maybe you're going to do cat-cow. Hands facing forward. Let's take cat-cow, just linking movement to breath. Spread your fingers. Make sure your forefinger is facing forward. Inhale, press down through the hands, the heart lifts. Exhale, round and round. Movement to breath. Inhale. Exhale, round. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, round. Last cycle here. Find a neutral spine. Press down through your left hand. We're going to float the right arm all the way up and look up. Follow the arm. Follow your hand. Inhale here. And now threading that right hand all the way behind the left wrist, bringing your head down onto the floor. If you need to put a pillow, you could put a block, a blanket, if you just need that bit more support. Good, so we've got lots of options here and you can play with this. This could feel already like a lot and enough for your body. But option 1 is to tiptoe the hands forward, that left hand forward. And then I like to come high on the fingertips and lift the forearm off the floor. And this is moving a lot more dynamically. And option 2, you can float that left arm all the way up and then spin the palm back, almost like you're looking for a high five, and then reach for the opposite hip. And now we roll and lift that shoulder. And now the next option is to play with the legs. So some people like to take, and I like to do this, I like to float that left foot out. I catch the big toe. Maybe you can't reach that, and that's fine, don't worry. You can still reach it out, and then you've got this nice stretch through the inside seam of the thigh. And get that little pinky toe down, roll and lift that left shoulder. And just stay here, 5 cycles of breath. The belly wants to be engaged. And the right, all 5 toes of the right foot are pressing into the mat. And you're lifting your knee and lifting the thigh of that left leg if it's extended out. And don't worry if it's not. One pose is not better than the other. They're just options. Everyone's at a different place in their practice. Inhale. We're going to release the top arm first. So left arm floats up. And then bring the hand back down alongside the face. Release and bring the knee in. Pressing through the left hand. Inhale. Float the right arm up. Lift up. Look up. Exhale. Hand on the floor. Good. Let's just move through cat-cow again. Just movement to breath. Inhale. Heart lifts. Exhale. Round. Inhale. Heart lifts. Exhale. Round. 3 more. Just going at your own pace. Last one here. and pause. I'm just going to spin around. You stay where you are. Pressing down through your right hand this time. Float the left arm up, lift up, look up, follow your thumb, exhale, thread it behind the right wrist all the way out, pause, inhale, so just notice how you feel, just like this. You might want to come high on the right fingertips, maybe you're going to tiptoe that right hand all the way to the top of the mat. Otherwise you're going to float that right arm up, spin for that high five, reach the opposite hip, roll and lift the shoulder. And then our last option available to us today is I like to hook the right big toe with my peace finger, with my peace fingers, and then press my right pinky toe into the floor. And then stay here. Keep rolling, lifting that right shoulder up. 5 cycles of breath. And just take your mind's eye to your left foot, and if maybe you've got both feet on the floor, press down through all 5 or 10 toenails. That's it. 2 more cycles of breath. And just notice if there's any tension. There might feel a little tightness in your neck. I've definitely got something going on in my right shoulder. And inhale, float your right arm up. Exhale, hand beside the face. Release the toes. Bring the right foot in and inhale, lift up, look up. Exhale, hand to the floor. Inhale, I'm just going to spin around again. We're going to float the right leg straight back. That's it. And take the left foot back. Now we're in a plank pose. And if this feels too much for your body, you can keep your knees on the floor. Just building a nice bit of heat and strength. You might want to rock forwards and backwards to get a little stretch in the toes. And we're going to do 3 yogi press-ups, just a little bit more warming up in the shoulders. Remember, knees up or down. Inhale here. Find cat pose in the upper back. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Lowering all the way to the floor. Exhale, nice and slow. Good. Point your toes, walk your feet together. Now just drag gently the hands back towards the hips. Squeeze the elbows in. You're just going to feel your shoulder heads lift. Inhale, low cobra for 3. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. You want to keep your bottom ribs on the floor. Don't overdo it. We're warming up the upper thoracic, your upper back. Exhale, lower. I'm going to just reach the hands to either side of the top of our mat. And this is still low cobra, just a modification. And just lift up. Maybe you just want to bring some nice circular movements. 3 one way. And finding balance by doing 3 the other way. And pause here. Scoot your hands all the way back. Salambasana. So the palms are facing up towards the ceiling, forehead on the floor. Walk your feet together, point the toes, lift your knees so your knees and your thighs are off the floor. And now inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, lower. 2 more, just like this. Inhale, lift. Press down through the tops of the hands and your feet. Make sure your pinky toes are pressing into the mat. Exhale, lower. This time, forehead on the floor. Release the back of the neck. Hands on the sacrum. Inhale, lift your shoulder heads up and away from the floor. And you're going to point through your right toe so much that the foot lifts off the floor. And then you're going to take your left foot to meet the right. Good. And now inhale. Some of you are going to keep your hands on your sacrum. Some of you might even be holding a strap here. And I'm just going to reach my hands towards my feet. My chest and my sternum is lengthening forward. 3 cycles of breath. I'm lifting up through my belly button, the navel. My pubis bone is pressing down into my hips. 1 more cycle of breath. Exhale, lower everything down. Up and back, take a child's pose. Coming through tabletop, exhale, child's pose. Stay right here, this feels delicious. Stretching, releasing my lower back. Inhale, come into tabletop position. Pause here. We're going to lower down chin, chest. So lower down chin, chest, slide through, low cobra, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Listen carefully, cat pose, inhale. Child's pose, balasana, exhale. 2 more, find your rhythm, inhale, cat. Exhale, lower down, chin, chest, slide through, low cobra. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, cat pose. Listen carefully. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 cycles of breath. I'm just going to step my hands, move my hands forward, about 1 handprint. And just gently pedaling through the feet. And just ironing any creases out of your day or your evening, wherever you are in the world, whatever time zone you're in. That's it. And when you're ready, inhale, step the feet together. Come high on your tippy toes. Bend your knees and just tiptoe your feet up to the hands. And you might want to have blocks underneath your hands. We're going to rest our hands on the sacrum. Just bend your knees so it feels a bit more like child's pose on your feet. Rest your hands on your sacrum. Drop the head, look all the way up to your thighs. And again, you could have a belt here if you felt really tight in the shoulders. And arms up and over. So drop the head, look all the way up to the thighs. And then I like to look at my feet, because quite often we shift our energy automatically into the heels. But we want to move energy into all 4 corners of our feet. So spread the toes, find your big toe, your pinky toe, and then those 2 points in the center of the heel. 3 more cycles of breath. Energetically, try lifting your shoulder heads up and away from the floor. And again, the belly is engaged and your inner thighs are rolling back. 1 more cycle of breath. We're going to lift all the way up on the inhale. Press through your feet. Inhale, rise all the way up. Good. Just place your strap, if you were using one, to the side. Step your feet together. And we're just going to bring some flow into the practice. Inhale, both arms up. Shavasana. Draw your hands down through the middle of the body. Exhale the breath. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step into plank. Pause here. You can drop the knees, lower down for Ardha Chaturanga. Roll over the toes, up dog. Lift your chest to the sky. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 cycles of breath here. Have a look at your feet. Make sure the hips distance. Have a look at the hands. Spread your fingers and actively press your hands forward as your heels drift down and your belly firms in. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend the knees, 2 steps to the top. Inhale, hands on the shins. Exhale, forward fold and bow. Press down through the feet, sweeping your arms all the way up. Maybe a little back bend here for some of you. And drawing the wisdom back into your heart. 2 more rounds. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step, jump or float back. Knees up or down. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, Ardha Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Roll your inner thighs. Lift your sit bones and your hips up as you press down through your forefinger and your thumb. 1 more cycle of breath. Take a deep breath in. And a big sigh out. Just releasing any tension, gripping in the body. High tippy toes. Inhale, exhale, step, walk or jump. Half lift, breathe in. Exhale, forward fold and bow. Press down through feet. Do you want the back bend? Exhale here. And hands at heart center. Last round. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, forward fold and bow. Inhale, half lift. Step back into plank. And we're just going to pause and plank. Good. We're going to drop your right knee to the floor. And then drop your back heel of your left foot down. Inhale, peeling the left arm up. And then arm up and over. This is a modified side plank, Vinyasa, but we're using it as an arm balance. That's it. Pressing down, lifting up and out sideways. And then some of you might want to take your left arm, that top arm, lift it up and back. So you're just opening the chest a little bit deeper. 2 more cycles of breath. And inhale, top arm up. Exhale, hand to the floor. And Vinyasa. Inhale, roll over the toes. Exhale, up and back. We're going to do the other side. Inhale, come forward into plank. You're going to drop that left knee down. And then drop the right heel. You're going to have my back towards you here. Inhale, lift up. And some of you might want to kick. Use that left foot as a kickstand. Arm up and over. 3 cycles of breath here. You're spinning and rolling so your thumb's above your pinky finger. Lift the side waist up. Some of you might want full plank here. And inhale. Gonna lift, maybe roll that chest back. Couple more cycles of breath. So it's just turning into more of a wild thing. Flip the dog almost. Inhale, top arm up. Vinyasa. You can skip the Vinyasa. Meet me in downward facing dog. Whatever feels good for today. Inhale, float the right leg straight back. Knee to nose, round glide forward. See if you can touch the knee to the nose. Inhale, 3-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose. Last one here. And we're going to step it all the way through. Drop the back knee down. Inhale, lift both arms up. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, lean into it. Last one, inhale, lift. Exhale, bend. We're going to turn to the right. Inhale, pause. You can feel your diaphragm squeezing. That's it. Some of you are going to keep the arms bent. Some of you are going to play with extending. Maybe once you extend the arms, you might want to rebend them. So just play with it, see how it feels. One more cycle of breath. Bring your right hand to your sacrum, pulling the sacrum down. Inhale, top arm up. Exhale, 3 cycles of breath. Look up to that left thumb. How's your Ujjayi breath, that lovely soft whisper in the back of the throat? And inhale, right arm up, hands to heart, exhale. You can take a twist to the right. Inhale, hinge forward, and then that gentle twist to the right. And I like to just walk my elbow down the thigh, stay right here. Some of you might even want to tuck the back toe, lift that back knee up as an option. That's always available. Some of you might be splitting the arms. There's even a bind here if you wanted to bind the arms. One more cycle of breath. And release the hands to the floor. Tuck the back toe under and step back into plank. Then you decide, do you want that vinyasa? I'm going to take it, flush it through. There's your lovely back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's play with the left side. Float the left leg straight back. Inhale. Glide forward, knee to nose. Exhale. Last one. We're going to step it through to a low lunge. If you find it hard to step through, drop the right knee down. Step the left foot through. Inhale, lift both arms up. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend. We've got one more of these. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend. Pause. Now we're going to turn to the left. Inhale. Here we go. So this is where we decide, how's this feeling in your body? This can feel pretty intense. Some people want to reach and they'll look to the back thumb. 3 cycles of breath. Squeeze your buttocks, squeezing your hips into the midline. Maybe you might need to walk your left foot over to the left for a bit more stability. Good, inhale here. Now exhale, drop the left hand to the sacrum, which is this lower flat part on your back. Inhale, right arm up. Now turn, lift up, look up. Exhale, sink into that front hip. You're lifting the chest. One more cycle of breath. Inhale, float the left arm up. Exhale, drawing the hands to the heart. Pause. Inhale, hinge forward. Exhale, twist. I often put my hand on my thigh to my hip crease and then walk my elbow down my thigh. Hands at prayer, spin, squeeze. 3 more cycles of breath wherever you are. And just repeat what you did on the first side. If you were tucking the toe, lifting the back knee, maybe you were splitting the arms, maybe you were binding. Okay, there's lots of different options available for wherever you are in your practice, but I'm keeping this fairly simple today. 1 more cycle of breath. And exhale, hands to the floor. Inhale, step back into plank. Vinyasa. Remember, knees up or down. Inhale, roll over toes. Up and back. Downward facing dog. We're going to walk the hands back towards the feet. And we're going to stay in a forward fold and bow. Just bend the knees again, grab your elbows. Gently nod the head. And just imagine any garbage that's in your head or you're holding in your body. It's all tipping out of your head right now. Just release and let go. Tune into the breath. And the reason we have the Ujjayi breath is so we can listen and learn. We listen to when the breath falls away and the mind wakes up. Release the hands to the floor. Garudasana, eagle arms. So we've already been here right at the beginning of class. Right arm over left. Remember, some of you are grabbing hand to opposite shoulder. Some of you are taking the bind. Inhale, lifting all the way up. Exhale, step your feet together. Or you can keep the feet hips distance. Whatever feels good in your body, choose that. Chair pose, Utkatasana, bend the knees. That's it. Now shift the weight into the heel so your sit bones draw back and your toes lift. So the right arm's over the left. So we stand on the right foot and cross the left leg over. Some of you are going to place the toe on the floor and it works like a kickstand. Some of you are going to wrap and bind. Inhale, float the elbows. Exhale, bend the knees, sink the hips. Some of you are going to stay upright because this feels already like a lot, and we're playing with balance here as well as shoulders and compression in the thighs. Others are going to take a deep breath in and exhale, round. We've got that lovely spreading of the shoulder blades again. Lengthen the neck and look forward and down. So you're kind of looking towards your fingertips or maybe even the top of the mat. Shifting the weight into the heel of the standing leg. And 1 more cycle of breath. Inhale, lifting all the way up. Release the legs and release the arms. Inhale, circle the arms all the way up. Forward fold and bow. Stay right here. This time crossing your left arm over the right. Inhale, lifting all the way up. Exhale, step the feet together. Utkatasana chair, bend the knees, drop the hips. Shift the weight into the heels, standing on your left foot. Cross the right leg over. Inhale, lift the elbows. Exhale, bend the knees, drop the hips. Some of you are going to forward fold and bow. Inhale, draw the belly in. Exhale, round and round. 5 cycles of breath wherever you are. And there's a nice amount of compression by squeezing your forearms together. And then we squeeze the thighs together as the hips firm in. Notice how the neck feels. Lengthen through both sides. Shift the weight into the heel of the standing foot. Inhale, floating the arms up and away. Unravel the legs. Inhale, both arms up. Flush it through with the Vinyasa. Forward fold and bow. Inhale, half lift. Step back into plank. Vinyasa or skip it. Meet me in downward facing dog. Inhale, float the right leg straight back. Knee to nose round. Step it through. I'm going to parallel the feet. So your heels and the sides of your feet are in line with the mat. Bring your hands on your hips. Squeeze your elbows in. Inhale, rise. So again, if your shoulders are tight, you can grab a strap. This feels really good. And so you just grab the strap or clasp the hands together. Make sure the rule of thumb is that when you lift your arms up, your heels are beneath your wrists. Okay, so probably a lot of you will need to walk your feet a little wider. I see that a lot when I'm teaching in classes, well, used to teach in classes. Still waiting for that day. So roll the shoulders down. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, hinge forward all the way over. 5 cycles of breath here. And again, have a look at your feet. Spread the toes and now shift your weight forward. I see a lot of people hanging out in the heels. So press down through your big toe, lengthen your chest forward, and then chin to chest, look all the way up to the thighs. So this is also a nice hamstring opener as well as the lovely opening that we're getting in our chest, upper back, shoulders, and that lovely release in the neck. And you can just turn the head from the left into the right. And press down through the feet, inhaling, lifting all the way up. Good. Exhale, put the strap to the side, turn to the top of the mat, and Vinyasa or skip it, you choose. Glide forward, remember that Vinyasa, you can have the feet, the knees down. You can stay with low cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, we're going to float the right leg straight back. And knee to nose. Step it all the way through. Good. We're going to step the back foot up about a third. And we're going to walk the right foot over to the right. Some of you might feel better with blocks or a book or something underneath the hands. So you're bringing the floor to your hands. Bring the hands on your hips. Squeeze and firm your hips in. Squeeze your elbow heads to the ceiling. Inhale, rise. Okay, so options. Rotate the palms back. Option 1. fist to fist. Option 2, elbow to elbow. Option 3, reverse prayer, reverse namaste. So you choose what feels good. Today I'm going to go for elbow to elbow. I think that's at the appropriate level for where most of us might be. Stand into the back foot. The frontal hip points, as we stand in, want to lift up. So you're lifting your pubis bone up. Good. Inhale, lift up, look up. Legs are straight. Lift the knees and the thighs. Lift them up. Engage the legs. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale here, press the crown of the head forward. Exhale, up and over. Firm and squeeze the the right hip in. And lift, actively lifting your shoulder heads up and away from the floor. Two more cycles of breath wherever you are. Keep lifting your knees and thighs up towards the hip sockets. And inhale, lift up all the way. Exhale, release. Okay, so if you've got that block, I'm going to put it on the outside of my right foot. Bring my my right thumb into my right hip crease, driving that right hip back. Inhale, lift the left arm up. Exhale, hinge forward, like you're going to reach and shake someone's hand. Inhale here, and then we're going to twist to the right, and then bring our hand on the outside or the inside, whatever your preference is. Inhale, lift, and then exhale, rotate. Firm and squeeze that right hip in, and then some of you are going to float that right arm up. And just imagine I was behind you with my thumbs in my hip, and your hip creases firming the hips back. So the hips are squared and you're twisting the diaphragm and opening up across your collarbones. And again, this pose can be quite confrontational if you haven't been practicing it for a while. So just notice how it feels in the body and what comes up. What do you tell yourself? And where could you soften? Be kind to yourself with your thoughts and your actions. And right hand down, hands on the hips, squeeze the elbow heads in. Inhale, rise. Good, other side. So we're not going to vinyasa. Step the left foot up, right foot back. You might want to just put the block on the outside or even on the inside. So we're going to do the same with the arms. So maybe you did reverse prayer, fist to fist, or opposite hand to opposite elbow. That's what I was doing. Make sure the feet are hips distance. Inhale, stand into that back foot. As you press your left pinky toe into the floor, lift your knees and thighs, breathe in. Exhale, hinge forward. So we get a nice hamstring stretch here, but we're also working the shoulders. That's it. So the focus is on the shoulders, but we also want to work other parts of the body, just so we find a bit more balance. So when we finish the practice, we'll also open the hips and hamstrings. Keep actively lifting your shoulder heads up and away from the floor, and you're shifting and lengthening your chest over that front leg. Notice maybe you might be in the middle. You want to shift it, squeeze that left hip in. Press down through your left toe and inhale, lifting all the way up. Exhale, release. Left hand into the left hip. Twisting triangle pose. Inhale, float the right arm up and then lift up, look up like you want to touch the ceiling or the sky. And then exhale, hinge forward like you're shaking my hand. And now inhale, turn to the left. Exhale, you're going to hand on the inside or outside. There's no shame having the hand on the inside. Really isn't. Just do what feels good. Now squeeze this left hip in. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, twist. Inhale. And when I used to practice this pose, my arm would be way out here. So just notice how it feels. right side to left. Where is there tension and tightness? If there's tightness in the neck, look down, release the back of the neck. If you've got a little bit more mobility, you can look all the way up to the thumb, finding that single point of focus. One more cycle of breath. And exhale. Hand to the floor. Good. Hands on the hips. Inhale, rise. Step the back foot up. Inhale. Come high on your tippy toes. Exhale. Drop the heels. Just playing with a bit of balance. Inhale, high tippy toes. Exhale, drop the heels. Inhale, high tippy toes. And now we're just going to bend the knees. Lower all the way down. Pause here. Bakasana. Okay, an arm balance. So we've done lots of work in our shoulders, our wrists, spread the fingers, knees into the armpits, or maybe squeeze the knees around your upper arms, whatever feels good for your practice. Hinge forward. Maybe just going to bring one foot off the floor. This is where we all start. Maybe the other one comes up. Look down at your thumbs. Keep lifting up, trying to straighten the arms any amount. 3 more cycles of breath. Don't worry if you're falling in and out of this pose. But this pose tends to come quite quickly the more you practice it, like anything. Feet on the floor, lowering your sit bones all the way down. Okay, we're just going to do a small amount of core today. And it's going to be the same shape, Garudasana, that we made earlier. So we're going to lie all the way back. We're going to cross the right leg over the left. Pause. Inhale. Cross the left arm over the right. So it's opposite arm to opposite leg. And inhale, extend the legs and the arms. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. Last one here. You might be thinking, thank goodness for that. And other side. Left arm over right. Left leg over, right arm over left, left leg over right. So just change so you're on the opposite side. Good, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze, lift the head off the floor. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. Last one here. And both feet on the floor. Bring your elbows down. Walk your feet so they're hips distance apart. And now inhale, lift your hips. Bridge pose. Moving dynamically. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Last one, inhale, lift up, stay up. Option 1, you can keep robot arms. Option 2, you can grab the edges of your mat. Option 3, clasp the hands, roll the shoulders under. 5 cycles of breath. So lifting the heart space, this pose brings in a lot of buoyancy. It's a wonderful antidote if you're feeling a little sad, depressed, lethargic, tired. Just breathing into the heart space. It's great for respiratory problems. 2 more cycles of breath here. Press down through the big toes, lift your thighs. And when you're ready, lower all the way down. We're going to roll all the way onto our belly. If you wanted to take an over Dhanurasana, I'm sure you could squeeze one in. And lying all the way on our belly. Good, Dhanurasana. So we're going to bend knees, and then reach back, grab your ankles on your feet, walk the knees together, forehead to the floor. Lift your shoulder heads up and away from the floor. This might be as far as you get. Flex your feet. Now inhale, lift your feet up to the ceiling, lift the thighs up. Now kick your heels back, and it's going to pull and open the chest. 5 cycles of breath. And notice if you're trying to lead with your chin. Soften the wrinkles in the back of the neck. Find the breath. Inhaling here. Exhaling here. And one more cycle of breath. Release all the way down. Good, we're just going to windshield wiper the legs. And when you're ready, get a nice shoulder opener. The body's fully prepped. Reach your arms out so you're in T shape. That's it. We're going to roll onto, we're going to tuck the right toe under, and we're going to roll. So just make sure that your shoulders and your wrists are in line with your shoulders. Hands and palms are down. And then we're just going to roll. Rolling onto our hip. So now the hips are stacked. Hand beside the face like it was right at the beginning of class. And now we're going to bend. Some of us are going to take the legs straight back, but most of us are going to bend the knee and place the foot behind. Inhale, float the right arm up. Rotate the palm back like you're looking for that high five, and then arm up and over. And this is nice and juicy in the shoulders, but you've also got that release in the hips. And again, you can reach that foot back if you wanted to do that. That's it. 3 more cycles of breath. Last one here. Inhale, top arm up, and then hand down beside the face. Good. Inhale, stack the hips, and then roll all the way onto the belly. Other side. So again, just make sure the alignment of the shoulder is in line with the wrist, forehead down. Inhale, tuck the left toes under, roll over, bend the knee. I'm going to place my foot on the floor. Inhale, left arm up, rotate the palm. So just notice which way you're trying to turn it. So turn it on the outside, looking for that high five, arm up and over. So ideally, it feels like you would love to be able to clasp your hands together, even though you won't be able to. And if you can, well done. I'm super impressed. And inhale, top arm up. Exhale. Come and lie all the way back on the belly. And inhale, press up into tabletop position. Exhale, child's pose. Some of you are going to stay in child's pose because this feels exactly what you need. Others are going to take rabbit pose. So we're going to reach back, grab our heels, and then tuck the chin to the chest until you come onto the top of the head. And then inhale, lift your sit bones up. Actively press down through all 10 toenails. Spread your shoulder blades. Belly's drawing in. One more cycle of breath. Keep lifting the shoulder heads up. And exhale. Lower all the way down. Good. Dolphin pose. So there's an option here before we finish to take an inversion of headstand if that's a part of your practice. And if it's not, and remember you can always take it to a wall, but if it's not, just stay with dolphin pose. Okay, so we're going to come up onto, tabletop position and come down onto the elbows. Clasp the hands together and look back between your knees. Make sure there's a space between the knees. Elbows directly underneath the shoulders, and now actively press your forearms and your wrists and the sides of the hands into the floor. Tuck the toes. Inhale, lift up. Drop the head. So this is also a nice hamstring stretch. Some of you are going to stay right here because this can feel very challenging in the body. And inhale, maybe float the right leg up. And then inhale, lift the left heel. Exhale, lower. Last one. And feet together. Inhale, left side. Inhale, lift the right heel. Exhale, lower. And feet together. Child's pose for everyone. Hands out in front, forehead to the floor, or maybe you want to reach your hands back. Maybe you want some release in the shoulders. 3 more cycles of breath, just breathing into the third eye, finding that connection to your intuition, your wisdom. And inhale, come up onto your elbows once again. Option for headstand. So you can take the headstand to the wall, or if you feel comfortable doing it in the middle of the room on your mat, then off you go. So just if you need the reminder, link the bottom finger under, elbows directly under the shoulders. And so set it up the same way you do dolphin pose. So drop the head, but we're going to drop the head. So the crown of the head, I need to undo this top knot. So the crown of the head is on the floor, but my thumbs are coming into the back, up the back of my head to support it. Tuck the toes, and then just walk the feet up. So this is dolphin pose with your head on the floor. And make sure the elbows aren't splaying. So that's one of the most important things of all. So you're going to come high on the tippy toe, kick your right heel to the buttock, and then lift up. Like you want to touch that right foot into the wall. Bring the knees together. And then find a single point of focus. Inner thighs roll back. You're fully prepped for this pose. Lift your shoulders up and away from the floor. And this should be nice and cooling. So if you find that you're at the wall and struggling to get up, maybe just come down because we're right at the end of our practice. So maybe I should have said that. If this is a pose that you've been practicing for some time and doesn't take a lot of work, then take it, otherwise just take dolphin pose. Forehead to the floor. Child's pose, 3 cycles of breath. And inhale, lifting yourself all the way up. Drop your hips to the side. Going to finish with a nice twist. Legs out in front. Actually, let's take a forward fold first. So hands either sides of the hips, shoulders back. Roll the shoulder heads back and draw the shoulders down and away as you flex your feet. Inhale, lift both arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Some of you with tighter hamstrings are going to bend the knees, grab the feet, chin to chest. Others are going to let those heels slide down. Three more cycles of breath, just allowing yourself to turn in, turn your attention inwards. This is a physical inward turn. Press your hamstrings into the mat, calf muscles pressing down. Inhale, lift up. Bend the right knee. Just going to cross. I like to grab the front of the shin. Inhale, lift and cross it over. Keep the left leg straight today. Marichyasana, right hand behind the right sit bone. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, take the twist. Now we're rolling that right shoulder back. Press and lift through the crown of the head. Inhale here. And exhale, look back over that right shoulder. 5 cycles of breath. Take your mind's eye into the left foot. Press the heel in as you draw the toes back and flex the foot. And that right heel is pressing into the mat. And one more cycle of breath. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, release. Just help that leg out. Now we're going to have both hands underneath the left knee. Inhale. Squeeze and lift the left leg over. Exhale, flex the right foot. Left hand behind the left sit bone. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, lift up through the crown of the head, the spine. Exhale, rotate and look back. 5 cycles of breath. Inhale, lengthens. Exhale, rotates. Take your mind's eye into the right foot. Flex the foot, heel pressing down. Both heels are pressing into the mat. So you press down so you can lift up in the spine. One more cycle of breath. And inhale, come back to center. And release. Ready for the most important pose of all. Yes. Shavasana. Bend the knees, just gently lowering yourself all the way down. I like to take my feet as wide as the mat. Let my knees knock in. Roll my shoulder blades under and in towards each other. So there's this nice little lift in the sternum and the heart space. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And a big sigh out. When you're ready, you can stay with your legs bent if that feels better, especially if you have a sensitive lower back. It's really nice just to keep the knees bent. Otherwise, extend the legs as wide as the mat, feet as wide. And you just let the feet find their natural rotation as the feet just flop open to the side. Palms are facing up towards the ceiling to receive your practice and all its wisdom and benefits. Let go of the breath and return to normal, shallow breathing. If you need to stay in Shavasana a little longer and you have time, please honor that, honor your practice. Otherwise, a gentle wriggling of the fingers, movement of the toes, connecting to breath, and inhaling, lifting arms up and over the head. I like to hook my thumbs together. You can interlace the fingers, maybe even cross the hands. I'm going to breathe and stretch into our body like we're landing in it for the very first time today. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Lion's breath, open the mouth, stick out the tongue. Inhale, draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a well-deserved hug and a squeeze. And when you're ready, rolling to your right side. Use the arm as a support for your head. And just pause for a moment. And you can stay right here. This feels pretty good actually. Otherwise, hands to the floor, pressing yourself all the way up, coming into a cross-seated position. And bringing the hands to the heart center, bowing the chin to the chest in gratitude. Just take this moment to honor yourself for showing up. Thank your beautiful body for doing all the work. And I'd like to thank you for sharing your practice with me, sharing this platform. It really is an honor and a privilege. Prayer to third eye. Humbly bow. You are amazing. Namaste. Well done, yogis. I hope you had a great practice. If you are in a position to donate, my PayPal and Venmo details are in the description of this class, or you can find them a direct link in my LinkedIn, on my Instagram, and please go and follow me, Debbie Lash Yoga, if you don't already. And leave me thumbs up and comments. I cannot express to you how helpful these are for other people looking for good yoga classes